Hey, welcome back to Left 4 Dead Garage. I'm going to jump back on Pinky here, and we're going to plumb the fuel line from the tank to the carburetor, because I ordered a couple fittings for that. I'm going to use, pretty sure I'm going to use a 2000, just say 2000 GMC Savannah van fuel filter. So it'll be a factory GM filter, and this flare set that I borrowed from Charlie that I've still not bought yet. I need to buy one. I've been slacking. We'll actually do those fuel lines, and somewhere I did a test pass with one, and it does fit these style type fittings, the like the LS or whatever. So it'll, trying to do this one-handed, so it'll go in there, and then that piece drops on and threads in, and what do you know, you got a -6 on a steel line. So the only -6 hose that I plan to use is from the tank to that line, and the tank does not have that same like flare or barb on it, so I'm just gonna have to hose clamp it. There's no pressure at the tank, so it'll be okay. It just won't look as good as I would want it to, and it's probably a little bit too much of a gamble to try to get that thing in there and flare that little nipple. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But I'm going to jump out of that and then run over to the frame rail to a -6 and that line and some of the fuel line, and then somewhere midway in the best location that I can find, I'm going to get that fuel filter. And that filter that I got comes with like a little bracket on it, so you can just bolt it to the frame, and then we'll go fuel filter to the carburetor. And then somewhere up here in this region, I'll crimp that line or flare that line, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you call that, but I'll fix the end of that line. That way we can jump out of that steel tubing and run a nice piece of -6 braided up to the carburetor. And hopefully this carburetor will accept a fitting. Oh yeah, so it's a fuel line with like a 3/8 pipe or whatever, so we can go 3/8 pipe to number 6 AN, and then just it'll be nice and neat. This thing's sweating too. This North Carolina weather is terrible. So that's my plan for this video. So let me jump under here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I got the gas drained out of the tank. I tried to be slick with that and use a razor blade. Since they had it all rubber line, I was just going to slice it real quick and get the line into the gas can, and all is well. All was not well. I was not fast enough. So as you can see, unfortunately this guy points the complete wrong direction, so that's kind of crappy. So I'm going to have to do like a U-turn and then come back this way. So let me get this can out of here. It's not a big deal, I just don't like it. And then like I was saying, you can see it's just got like a regular old barb in for a hose clamp, so we'll just slide it on there. Hopefully that sending unit's not in upside down or anything like that. So my plan, come out of here. Maybe use this shock bar as put me like a hole in it, a little insulated clamp. We'll run the line down. If it's not too much of a bend, I'll just go to the angle, run the angle down, and then we'll send it back that way. I don't know how easy that 3/8 tubing bends, so I got to worry about getting this swoop right here. I can't stay up too high because it's the panhard bar is in the way up there, so we need to stay to the lower side like they did. So, and then try to neatly do it down through there. Still got to figure out e-brake cables. Let's see if we can. Hey, there's my other flashlight. I knew I had another one somewhere. probably somewhere in here we can do that fuel filter, because there's a, I know you can't see it too well, there's plenty of holes, so we can do the fuel filter here and then continue on up that way with the rest of the hard line. So let's get us a measurement. We'll see what we can do about bending this up a piece, and then we'll just connect the ends in the middle and be done with it. All right, so looks like roughly 7 foot from where I want to go. This is some tubing I had. Another something I don't even know where it came from, unless it's something I bought long time ago. So we'll just use this as the test dummy in case something happens. I'm not wasting her material. So we'll see how the tubing straightener does with this old, this stuff's stout, like it ain't no joke. So what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna straighten the whole piece. Or attempt to. All right, so maybe this is straight enough to work with. I feel like I need to be out in the yard doing this. All right. So let's put a little tension on it. Apparently we need a little more than that. Well, I'm gonna have everything knocked over out there. I believe you need a buddy for this. This is dangerous. All right, so that's probably straight enough for me to get a kind of a measurement of, what I say, 7 feet. But I don't have a Sharpie anymore. All right, 7 feet. Let's cut this off. This stuff actually cuts better than I figured it would. Stick that right there. All right, maybe we can not knock the windows out of the shop. Let's kind of rough it in here. Put a little tension on it. As I do this, I'm spinning it around, try to get, you know, all the sides, because if you go that one same spot, then it'll curl it up anyway. I don't believe it's going to get it as super straight as it does that brake tubing, I guess because it's such a thicker wall, but it's definitely better than I could have done it trying to lay it on the ground or however. I mean, you can feel it. It's got some kind of light, very, very light lumps in it, but this works pretty good. It's not laser straight. I don't know how you could get it any better, to be honest with you. Because it does have a little arch in it, but I guess if you, as long as you had your clamps in line, you know what I mean, you could, I mean, it's, you can manipulate it some. So definitely don't regret buying that thing. I'm gonna jump under there and see how this looks, and then if it looks okay, then we'll do one end. We'll cut off that end. That one's a little crooked down here. 7 feet was just a rough guess. So tubing cutter right here, get rid of this kink. You want to chamfer the inside edge, and then it really seems to work better if you belt sand it, but just reach over there and hit it on the belt sander and knock this, kind of roll this end right here. That way it goes up on the fitting better. That's kind of how I figured out with this guy here. You can see how I kind of little belt sand chamfer there. But yeah, let me see how this looks and where it might go, and we'll do one end and see what else we can do. Only got a couple hours of night down here anymore. It's already 8 o'clock. By the time I eat dinner and get down here, it's 6:30. So yeah, you can see it's kind of got a little arc in it. It's not perfect, but it's definitely workable. I mean, I don't know how you get it any better. Let me test fit and I'll get back to you. All right, once I got under there, 7 feet was about a mile too long. So, but it's okay. Just cut a piece off and get this one where we want it. I honestly don't feel like I have the right tools to make that full swoop to go over the frame rail, or to width the frame rail over the rear end area. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come past that first cross member under there and put a slight little kick up in it, and we'll just, the PTFE hose will just be just a tad longer than I'd originally planned, which isn't a problem. You can plumb a whole car with that stuff. The old orange pickup over here is plumbed that way, but I prefer hardline if I can, and so we'll just make do the best I can, because I'd hate to bend it and it look like Fido's hiney, and if I could do it this way, you know. I'm gonna flare this end. Flare it? I don't know what you call this. Is this flaring it? I guess it is. So, the correct dies in this thing. This is such a handy tool. And then I put just a little bit of grease on this, because it seemed to be a little tough to take apart on that first test piece, so maybe a little grease will help it. And this piece is like a stop, so you'll run I know you can't see any of what I'm doing, but maybe I'll do a short piece and show you a little bit better. But so I got my tubing all the way to the stop. I'm gonna clamp the heck out of this and flip my stop out of the way, and then twist this till it bottoms out. All right, so we're bottomed out. Close the valve here on the bottom, and then we'll just get the pumping. It seems to be going a lot easier than the last one, which concerns me, because anytime that stuff goes easier than it's supposed to, it flared it. So it was a little tough to get that piece off there. Let me grab some pliers. I don't want to collapse the tube, and I don't want to mar this thing up. Okay, it didn't take much effort to get it to spin here. If I can get it to release, there we go. Let's try a fitting here. Then tighten that down, and your hard line to -6. So somewhere on here I marked it where I wanted to bend it, but I don't, since I cut it down on this bad end, I had more bad than I thought. I actually had to go back and cut this much more off because it had like a flat spot right here in the tube. So I don't know if that was the end of the coil. It's flat all the way to here. Like, I don't know if you can see it, it doesn't really matter, but I'm gonna go back under there with a Sharpie this time and mark it. And we'll put a slight bend in it, or attempt to, and see what we can do with it.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Product, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
All right, let's see if we can knock this fuel line out. I've got the back half slightly mounted. I did some changes. Let me find the flashlight. Did some changes, not any big changes, just something I personally felt like it just looked better doing it this way. All right, so I've got a bend back in here, so then I added a second bend right here. That way it kind of, I'm going to have to manipulate it a little bit because it kind of aims toward that panhard bar. And then what I've also done is down here where the fuel filter is, I did 2 bends in it right here. That way it would more so line up, because I'm planning on putting the filter about right there. And then with these 2 bends, it kind of gets it out away from the frame rail. Since this fuel filter sticks, you know what I mean, it's not, it sticks off of the frame rail. So this kind of lines it up a little better. You can see it better like that. And then I've got my other piece in there to go to the front. That's going to be a little more complicated than I had planned. Hopefully I can shoot through that boxed area where, you know, where I sent the brake lines through. You can see it now. But yeah, we'll shoot through there, and I'm going to go all the way to the front of the rails. That way I can come, I've got room to make my loop from the hard line back to the fuel pump, and then we'll fuel pump to the carburetor, obviously. But let me show you what I got. This piece in here, and I gotta run it through this crimping tool. I guess that's what I'm doing, flaring it, crimping it. I guess it's more of a crimp. Yeah, I gotta do this piece here. So all I did was 245s, and it just jumped me over. Measure back 5 inches. I used this. I was kind of concerned. I thought it might be just too tough for this. Is a great bender. I tried some bending with this guy right here. This would probably work fine with aluminum tubing, not this steel. It actually, I played around with some tubing. It actually like just creases it. And then that bender actually puts a small ding in it, as you can see, but it's nothing big, not a big deal. I mean, honestly, 3/8 line for this motor is more than enough. 5/16 supply line would probably been okay, but yeah. So I'm gonna do the crimp the end of this thing, and we'll run it through the frame rail and mark it, see where we need to be, and then we'll crimp the other end. So I've still not bought one of these things. I've been buying other garbage, so I need to hurry up and do that, because I am 100%. Actually, Harbor Freight has one, but I don't think their kit has an option for transmission. This one doesn't have the transmission. I think I mentioned that before, but I want to be able to do transmission lines as well. And this little bender, or this tubing straightener, has become handy in more than one way, especially for holding this stuff. The one thing I do like about the Harbor Freight is their die blocks have like alignment dowels, so it seems like you can't get them out of alignment, which it ain't a big deal with this thing. It's just something I seen on it that I kind of liked. All right, run this guy in. Being able to do these. Oh, and I didn't show you the fuel filter. I did show you the fuel filter, but on that filter, if you do it that way, just cut these pieces off, and then you can put those 2-piece quick connects like I showed you on there. Also got the brake lines in. Got to do a little fine tuning. I just got the passenger side on. We can go over that as well, but all right. Put a little grease on this thing just to help those O-rings. Slides right on. Snug it down, good to go. Throw it on the ground. All right, let's snake this through there. I'll mark it, and we'll do that other end, start mounting stuff, and then start making up some hose sections. So you got to go tank to hardline, hardline to filter, filter to hardline, hardline to pump, pump to carburetor. So, and this will be, what am I doing? And this will be a much nicer setup than 3/8 rubber line. Have I used 3/8 rubber line on a whole car? Yes, I did my Impala, but that's back when I had 3/8 rubber line budget, not this kind of level of build. Now I did go back, and I probably mentioned this, I did go back and put steel lines on it. I actually bought it from Inline Tube, so it has factory style lines on that car. But in the beginning, I certainly did use 3/8 hose. So that's because that's what I could afford. I also had a cheap fuel cell in the trunk at that same time too. So, all right, let's get under the truck. Well, two fittings stopped me in my darn tracks here. Let me try to find a flashlight. I have them scattered all over the place. Here's one. So, the fuel pump and the fuel line to the carburetor is 3/8 pipe. I was thinking I had 3/8 pipe, but all I had was a 6AN to 1/4 inch. So we got to go from the fuel pump down there to fuel line, and that is all that's left. Thankfully, I had some different AN hose. That's that rubber core stuff right there. So it would actually slip over the barb of the fuel pump and the fuel tank. So this worked out okay. I mean, it's not, I'm sure it could probably be done better by somebody else, but it seems to work. So what I got going on here is come out of here, looped around 2 clamps there, and there. Got one up here. Goes into a 6AN flared hardline clamp there. Got 2 bends. It worked out pretty good. I guess I could have probably done a little less bend here and it would have flowed a little bit better. Right here, I'm going to flip this nut and bolt around. That way it's not touching this line. And then I spaced out the clamp here. Got a clamp there. Then there's a little Z into flexible line. That way you can actually change the filter and it's not a problem. And then on up. And then that Z actually doubled. Little did I know, it doubled as a step up, because it has to go up in that frame rail because to clear all that suspension stuff in that rack notch. So got that there. And it's tough to see, but it comes from up inside the frame rail, loops around to the fuel pump. 2 fittings shorter, would have had that knocked completely out. And I am out of time on a Saturday, so we'll jump back into this thing. I got those 2 fittings should be here tomorrow, so I'll knock that out. And then we're going to jump into sorting these brake lines out. Let me show you right quick what I got going on here. So still have to weld that tab because I wasn't 100% sure where I needed to be. So we got the brake line swoops around and it's into a 90 right there. It's still loose, so but yeah, you can I can manipulate it some to where, hope you can see that. Once I get it tight, it'll clear all the spring, the spindle, and everything. May have to work on it a little bit so it's nice and safe and out of the tire and all that. But yep, that should work there. And honestly, that's the best I know how to do it. But much better than the way that rubber hose was. That would have never worked. I mean, it was clear up into the spring and had it kinked around. So I guess that'll do it for today. Like I said, I'll finish that fuel line and as soon as I get those fittings tomorrow. And what else? I guess Monday we'll jump right back into Pinky and knock those brake line tabs out. The pedals are done at powder coat. I'm going to send a customer to go get those Monday. What else? As soon as I get the pedals in, I'll mock the seat back up, and she's coming back over to sit in it and see how it feels. I'm pretty concerned about legroom. She's fairly tall, so it may be a problem. If it's not super comfortable for me, it may not be comfortable for her. So we'll get back to it. All right, this video is about 40 minutes long after I did some editing, and it doesn't really need to be any longer. So I guess what we'll do, we'll just wrap it up on the fuel line here. I've got more done, but that'll be in the next video. But a sneak peek though, pedals are in. Actually, it's more than just the pedals, but we'll cover that in the next one. So got a list. I don't know what I did with it, but I'll show you what's left. It's a long list, but it's not a long list of big stuff. Let's just run through it right quick. Power steering, plumbing, still need to figure out one serpentine belt, bleed the brakes. Fuel lines are finished. I got my fittings, so from the pump to the carburetor, but you know, typical fashion, I've got to get another heater hose fitting because, well, the intake manifold's on an angle, so it runs right into it. So I need a 45 so I can kind of come in like that. But either way, I need to find one of those. I did not have, I had a 90, but 90 didn't do me any good. I need to run the wires to the tail lights and the brake lights, but I can't do that until we finish the tow board because the brake light switch bolts to the floor patch over the master cylinder and the clutch reservoir. I decided not, I think I covered this, decided not to put the clutch, do the externally mounted reservoir. I'm just going to make the patch, or the actual, not a patch, it's a cover big enough to where you can get to clutch master and brake master. So no need to do all that. I'll just send that other stuff back. Let's see. Still need to get the right fittings for the clutch master. Seat tracks and mounts, I'm about to jump on that right now. Make bed spacers. The gauges do not have mounts. I need to get some of those aluminum, looks like odometer, like rectangle mounts that go to the back of the gauge to hold them in there. Speedometer cable, running board mounts, or take the old mounts off. I don't know what to do yet. Level the cab. Fender welting, which is this rubber, goes in here. If you don't have it, it's going to bust the paint. It also goes right here. As you can see, it's already busted. It also goes back there. So, yep. Where are we at? Adjust the doors and windows. I don't know if that's on me or she's going to have somebody else do that. Set the toe in. We need to definitely check the toe in because it's probably not set. All the 4-link was loose. Grease everything in the front. Vacuum line to the brake booster. Mount the horn. E-brake cable mounts. Did some research on the 47 and up truck forum. I think is what it was. Some people use square body. Some people use square body mounts, and then some people use S10 mounts. I could probably steal out of that truck because there's no e-brake in that one, and I'd never need it. So either way, I got a couple ideas, and then 88 to 98 or whatever, some people use those e-brake mounts as well, and just bolted them straight to the kick panel. So I'm going to figure out that. Where we at? Throttle. Need a throttle cable on the pedal. I've seen where some people use factory square body pedals. I got a couple of cabs out there. We might go look for that. Trim the pan at the radiator. We got to fix this mess right here because you can't drain the radiator, and that just looks like teetotal crap. Oh, and 757 freaking bolts that's missing, so got to sort all that out. Where are we at? HVAC box to firewall. It's flapping in the wind. It will have to have exhaust work now. There's no way around this. I'm pretty sure I covered that in this video. No, I will cover that in the pedal and transmission video. I need to make my spacer for the transmission mount and then buy another transmission mount and put back in stock. Shifter cut and weld. I'll cover that in the next video too. But yeah, that's pretty much what we got left. I'm going to try hard to have this thing wrapped up in the next month. So it is, I got one more week left in November. Starting to get cold, and I've been camped out at work every day late. So that kind of puts a little black cloud on my extra time down here. So I believe that's all. Thanks for watching Left for Dead Garage, and we will see you on the next one.